everyone. My name is Mary Cleary. I'm the community health worker with Linc. We work with lesbian and bisexual women in Cork.
Hi, my name is Breda O'Donoghue. I'm chairperson of the Traveller Visibility Group and I'm also a development worker. And we're here today to address some of the myths that are there from the travelling community regarding LGBT.
Same back. We're going to be looking at different things LGBT people think about the travelling community. Are travellers descendants of people who were kicked off the land in mass evictions hundreds of years ago?
No.
No, okay.
That's been a myth for a long time. Travellers are, there's references to travellers as far back as the 5th century.
Really?
Before Cromwell.
Okay.
Okay, so, and I suppose the references are to people who were nomadic and sold wares to earn a living.
Okay.
So no, travellers have been here long before the famine.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Mary, I suppose to put it in context, travellers probably are where the settled community was 20 years ago regarding the LGBT. So there's a lot that travellers don't know and travellers have made a lot of assumptions over the years. And one of the questions that would have came back through our groups was, when do you first realise, at what age do you first realise, is there a certain age that you first realise you're gay or lesbian? Like, does it come in and when you're 13 or does it happen when you're 21? Do you know? So
yeah, that's actually a really common one actually, and I think for lots of people it's different. Some people know when they're really small. Some people don't realize till they're like 20. Most commonly it's like 12. It's kind of when you reach puberty. So it's whenever it was the time when everyone is like, oh, I'm attracted to people, and that's when you realize. So it's usually the most common age is 12.
So how do you deal with it at first? How do you deal with telling family and friends? At what age does that kind of come in, or if ever?
So that would depend again, on different people. So I wouldn't have come out. I'd have probably kind of known when I was around 12. I really didn't kind of accept it in myself, so I was like 18, and they didn't really tell my family until I was about 20. But I guess it depends on your family situation. So if oftentimes parents come to me and they're like, think my child is gay, I don't know how to approach them. Should I say anything to them? And usually what I say is people kind of come out when they're ready to in their own time. But so if you thought maybe one of your children was gay, what you could do, or what I tell people, is if you see something on TV and there's 2 gay characters, or if you see people on the street, or you're at a pride parade or you see a pride parade, you can just say oh, isn't that great? And just say something kind of positive about it. Yeah, you can just say oh, that's lovely, right? Simple as that. And then that child or that teenager goes, okay, maybe I could tell them. You know what I mean? But oftentimes it's better to let someone come out when they're ready to. Because I've often seen people and I'm like, oh, they're definitely gay. But I can't go and tell them that because they'll be like, get away from me, you know what I mean? So people have to do it when they're ready to.
Cool. Mary, LGBTI. Explain those letters.
Okay, so lesbian, woman attracted to a woman, gay, man attracted to a man. Bisexual, you're attracted to men or women, or people who don't identify as men or women. It's really complicated. So we'll go with bi means you're attracted to men or women.
Okay.
Trans is transgender. So if I born a woman, but I feel like I'm a man, that's my true identity, then I would transition to become a man.
Okay.
And then so intersex is so sometimes people are born, so it's actually so we think there's only men and women, but actually sometimes people are born with genitals that are kind of ambiguous. They might have kind of both. Oh, that's another one. Using the term settled traveller, is that kind of offensive?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Because we believe there's no such thing as a settled traveller.
Okay.
I mean, where you live doesn't define whether you're a traveller or not.
Yeah.
You can't wake up tomorrow morning and say, do you know what, I'm going to buy a trailer and I'm going to move into it and I'm going to become a traveller.
Yeah,
It's not how it works.
Yeah.
You have to be born a traveller. And even if you never lived in a trailer, you're still a traveller. And there's other traditions that we would share as a community around, I suppose, around rituals, around death, around communion, around marriage, and that we don't share with the general population.
Yeah.
So that's what makes us a traveller, not where we live.
Yeah.
Because travellers, 90% of travellers now have been forced into housing.
Yeah. Okay.
And so they're still travellers.
Yeah.
You know, so
Okay.
settled traveller doesn't mean anything to me. You're a traveller, you're a traveller. If you're not, you're not. You know, you just can't become a traveller. And you can't wake up one day and say, I'm not a traveller,
Not a traveller anymore.
Do
Okay.
you know? Then I suppose there's this myth out there that if you're a lesbian or a gay man, you are attracted to every woman under the rising sun or every man under the rising sun. And so can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so I definitely thought people are a bit like, they can be a bit wary that they're like, oh God, one's a lesbian. So if I talk to her now, she'll be cracking on to me.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's the thing, like, it's like the same way you're not attracted to every man you see. I'm not attracted to every woman I see. But they're saying that, and usually people, like, understand that boundary. They're like, oh, that person's straight. So you wouldn't really, it's like the way, if you met a gay man, you wouldn't, even if he was really attractive, you wouldn't bother cracking onto him, right? Because you'd be like, he's gay. But again, you know, sometimes it might happen, some gay person might crack onto you, and you can just say, oh, I'm straight, or I'm not interested. You know, it doesn't have to be really
Same
defensive.
as you would with
anyone. Yeah, you can just be like, oh, no, I'm not interested. So I know people are really like scared of that, or really like, oh God. But it's very simple. You can just be like, I'm just not interested. But yeah, I get there's that wariness, like to be perving on me, but like most people wouldn't be at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'd even, you know, going into a changing room, right? I'd be really aware that there might be women in there going, she's going to be perving on me now, right?
Yes.
So I'm probably the person who's like the least, like I'm like looking at the wall, being like, I'm not doing that. Oh my God! Like I'd be like paranoid about it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I'm like,
that's a bit like a traveller when they go into a dressing room and they might have a bag from a previous shop, and they're so afraid that the person in the dressing room is going to think they're bringing the bag in to take something. They nearly throw the bag at the attendant at the door, you know, and say, hold on to that, and
do they?
Make sure and count everything before you go in. You know, because travellers are accused so often of different things.
Yeah.
And they become like they put up this barrier now that I'm going to make sure nothing will happen. So count what I'm bringing in, make sure you this included and that included, and hold my bag and look at me. A kind of I've nothing, you know.
Same.
It's a weary. It's like it's just a protection.
Yeah, because you don't want to be accused of it.
Yes.
So you're like, oh, I'm definitely not doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Like that's interesting. That's like a similarity there, where you're like hyper aware of it.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's interesting. That's I guess something we both deal with. Yeah. And people just said, why do some travelers not respect other people's property?
Yeah. Okay, I suppose my answer to that would be I believe most travellers do respect other people's property. There is a certain percentage of my community who don't, which I believe is the same in the settled community. It's just that the travellers get more media attention when they don't respect other people's property, or when they get into trouble, or when they have a fight. Anything negative about a traveller that happens, it gets blown out of proportion. Yeah. And sometimes that can be justified as well, blown out of proportion. Sometimes it can be a very serious incident. Yeah. But no more so in the settled community. I mean, and I always use this as an example. A couple of years ago, there was a gang from Dublin that attacked a family, I think somewhere around Tipperary. A couple of days later, there was a big spread all over the front of the newspaper. A traveller gang attacks family in the home and terrorising, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And for some reason or another, every traveller that I know is made feel responsible for this. Yeah. I suppose number one, I should not be expected to police my own community. Yeah. It's not my fault if John Doe up in Donegal robs a bank, robs a car, robs a house. That's not my fault. I shouldn't be expected to justify that. Yeah. But here's the thing. When these 5 men were brought to court, there was 2 of them from members of the traveller community and 3 were from the settled community. Yeah. You know, and nobody rectified that. Yeah. So as far as everybody was concerned, this was a traveller gang, and that's what they were called, a traveller gang. Yeah. And that they were up and down the country robbing people's houses and whatever. And that wasn't true. Now, I have no problem with them mentioning that there was travellers involved. Yeah. But it wasn't just travellers. And it even took it away from the issue of what they did anyway. Yeah. What they did was appalling, and they got caught and they got brought to court and they got sentences, and brilliant. I'm delighted for that. But it has a very bad reflection on the rest of us. Yeah. That these things are or I suppose they come across the media in this way, because then it gives people that don't know anything about travellers the impression that all travellers are travelling the length and breadth of the country robbing people's houses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally, yeah. Yeah, and actually, I think that's interesting with the media. Like, I saw something recently. You could always see stuff about trans people in the media, and this idea, like bathrooms, that for some reason, like, so if someone was born a man but they transitioned to become a woman and they want to use a woman's bathroom, right? But papers make this big deal about it. You know what I mean? In America, they've banned that and all this because they have this idea that like people are gonna like do what? Like, you know what I mean? This idea like the trans, but there's news stories about it all over the place. Trans people in bathrooms, and I saw an interview, and this trans woman was like, "We're like less than 1% of the population, but we're in the news all the time, constantly." And it's like the media like picks on something different that you can point at and go, "It's travelers or it's trans people." Or,
That's right.
do you know what
And
I mean?
it's the same for travellers. I mean, we're 1% of the population. There's about 40,000 travellers in the island of Ireland.
Yeah.
36 in the Republic. 36,000 in the Republic.
Okay.
And again, one thing happens, and it's on every newspaper, it's on every radio station.
Yeah.
But like we have in this organisation have contacted the media on several occasions on very positive issues and very positive actions that has been taken by this organisation, and we haven't got any response from them. Do you know?
Yeah, they don't want to hear it. Like
they don't want to hear it.
Okay, actually, you know, you mentioned there like about living on the margins of society. I find with like gay people or LGBT people, that would have been definitely the same. And now, like as things have progressed, people are more integrated. But some people in the community are like, "Oh well, look, if we integrate, we're gonna lose our culture." Then other people are like, "No, sure, I don't want to be different anyway. Like I just want to kind of integrate in." Is it similar with travelers? Travelers can like protective of their culture, or do they want to integrate, or is it?
Well, I suppose, Mary, the fear for travellers is there's always been a policy there since since the early 60s for assimilation. Travellers have been forced for over 50 years now to assimilate into society, and while travellers are for integration, I suppose the policy to push for assimilation has, I suppose, made people cautious and fearful of losing their identity and losing their culture. We do know for a fact that travellers that do not self-identify as travellers have lost their identity, and they've neither fitted in with the settled community or with the traveller community. And that has created a lot of mental health issues for the travel community as well.
Yeah, that's really interesting, just because there's that idea that I think sometimes people are like, "Oh well, why don't you just get on with it and just get a house?" And it's the same with gay people, like, "Why do you need a pride parade? Why do you want to do that?" Now, I don't think there's been the same, but that's a really good point that it's like integration.
Well, I suppose
is a celebration, but assimilation is like just be like us.
Yeah, well, I suppose just as you mentioned a house, and that's the first thing that the settled community see us as being different, that we don't want to live in a house. What I have said in the past to people is asking travellers to live in a house is like asking the settled community to live in a caravan.
Okay.
It has the same meaning for us.
So
I suppose, Mary, one of the other questions as well we would get from the group was, as a traveller mother, should I be looking out for signs of, with my children, or any traveller mother in general, should they what should they be looking out for? If they're concerned or worried, or maybe have an idea that there might be something else going on, what do they look out for?
Right. Well, I don't know. Like part of me is like, because there's not necessarily a sign, because like people can be so different. Do you know what I mean? So it's not like that there's like because sometimes I was a tomboy growing up, right? But there's loads of girls I know who are tomboys who play sports who aren't gay. You know what I mean? So sometimes it's like you don't necessarily need to look out for something, but I suppose it's just that kind of just being careful with the language we use is kind of good. And then like if you think there's something going on, like you can ask them, but maybe not. I definitely wouldn't be inclined to be like asking someone directly, "Are they gay?" Because they might freak out and be like, "No, no." You know what I mean?
And I suppose that for me, that's where it comes in our community. It's okay and it's cute to be a tomboy when you're small. But then when you hit teenage years, it's not okay. So you must be gay. You've got to be lesbian. Then she's got to be lesbian. Sure. She's not into no girls thing. She's not into nice clothes. She's not into makeup. She's not into chatting to other boys. So she must be lesbian. And it's the same with young boys. I mean, I've seen so many times where young boys, because they might be sensitive, they might be a bit feminine,
Yeah.
they might be gentle, generally nice person,
Yeah.
gotta be gay. You know, and
Yeah.
I'd love if that myth was challenged within our community, because I don't actually believe it myself. But I know it comes in very strong that you've got to be one or the other if you're not the norm.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally. And what I say is, I suppose that like I know loads of gay women who are like totally femme. It's all makeup and hair and all that. Do you know what I mean? Like just like a straight woman. Like
Yes.
you couldn't know. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then I know loads of gay guys who'd be really macho. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They're into sports and they're really macho and they're like, and I suppose the thing is, right, at the end of the day, if someone's gay or not, like they can't change that. You know what I mean? So if your kid is like a tomboy or really flamboyant, there's two things you can do. You can be like, oh no, right, and you can be like trying to fix them and change them. But at the end of the day,
does happen.
yeah, right. Or you could just be like, all right, look, they are how they are. You know what I mean? And kind of just let them be. Because at the end of the day, right, if they're gay, they're gay. So they're either gonna grow up with loads of shame and fear and having to hide it, and then they'll have loads of mental health issues. Like that's really common in the gay community, especially for people who grew up in a time where it was way harder to be gay.
Yes.
There's way more mental health issues. Do you know what I mean? There's way more substance abuse. But if you can be more accepting, then they might grow up a little bit more accepting, a little bit more okay with themselves. They'll probably get on better in life. You know what I mean? But either way, they're still gonna be gay at the end of the day. You know what I mean? You can't. It's and it's perfectly fine. And I get that. Okay, if you've got a kid and they're gay, and you're like, okay, well, like you're not going to be very well accepted in the traveling community. This isn't safe for you. Um, that's something you could have a chat with them about. You know what I mean? If you think they definitely are gay, like maybe then that's the time to go. Again, doing that thing where you see something, gay people or something, you're like, oh, look, isn't that grand? Do you know what I mean? And hopefully then they'll come to you, and then you can be like, okay, look, I accept you, but there's stuff you need to know. You know what I mean? Like you've got to be a little bit careful about how you're going to do that. You know what I mean?
Right now, I don't think it's a safe place.
No, like I wouldn't be like, oh, just come out, just come out and hope for the best. Like obviously not, but so you want to protect someone, but you don't want to like damage them while you're doing it. So, and I suppose that's the thing. You know, you could have that conversation even in a general way, like in front of your children or with your children, being like, God, if someone was gay now, should they just, you know, because there's nothing wrong with it and it's normal enough, but you have to be careful. You know, in the gay or in the traveling community, you have to be a little bit careful about how you do that. And having general conversations might be the way to do it, so that they know, okay, well, they're not going to kick me out of the house. They're just saying I need to be a little bit careful about how I go about it, which is good advice actually.
Of course. I'm just thinking about ways that travelers can be more sensitive from the traditional norm of saying stupid, ugly things in front of children and not realizing the impact that it might have. You know? And I suppose you can only get that from awareness.
Totally,
But is there other ways, like what else can travel parents be doing, and particularly women, because they're more a homemaker?
Yeah, like what I'd say is what you can do is kind of be mindful of the language we use. Do you know what I mean? It's the same with like, you know, instead of using words like fag or dyke or saying that's so gay, just not saying those things, because like if someone's been hearing that their whole life and then they're like, oh my God, I think I'm gay. All they've been hearing their whole life is this is really bad. And it's the same like using the term knacker, like, do you know what? So I guess it's making that effort, because it's like one of those things you're used to saying something. It's really easy to say it, but there's loads of words I don't say anymore. I don't say knacker. Do you know there's like words like, I might edit this, but you know like saying retarded. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but try used to say, oh, that's so gay about everything. And then I was like, well, that's kind of offensive to gay people. I'm gay. So it's that kind of it's small things, but it's even just saying, using a different word for your like language. So if you think something's stupid, you can just call it stupid and not call it gay. So then if you have a kid and they do decide to come out, instead of being really freaked out about it and really like sad about it and worried, they might be a little bit more okay, you know? Yeah, and then probably better mental health. But yeah, just language changes.
And on the language then, Mary, like for instance, we as a traveller, I've been called a tinker and a knacker and a paddy, and God only knows the rising sun what I've been called at this stage. Now, like a tinker for me means a tinsmith, somebody that works with tin. And it's not a derogatory term among us. But because it's used in a derogatory way towards us, I'm starting to hate the word now.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
And it's the same with knacker. Knacker relates to the knacker's yard, which relates to dead horses and so on. You know, travellers are connected with horses. So what would be, if I was to say, I met my friend Mary and she is, what would I say?
You could say, if it was relevant to it, you'd be like, oh, she's gay.
Okay.
So you can say gay, that's totally fine.
Okay.
It's like sometimes people are a bit weird about calling someone black if they're black.
Yes.
But I think it's okay to say, my friend, she's black.
Yes.
She's gay. I can say, my friend Brita is a traveller. And I think, because it's the same in the gay community, like, me and all my friends would be like calling each other dykes, but it's real positive, do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like a strong, like a dyke, it's like taking ownership of that word.
Mm-hmm.
But if some guy on the streets calls me a dyke, that's not okay.
Different story.
Totally different story, yeah. So
Yes.
it's the same, like, it's like
Yes.
that.
Of course.
Some stuff is okay within the community, but yeah, you can just say that person's gay or she's a lesbian. That's all from me and Brita for now. Thanks for watching. Contact details for the Traveller Visibility Group and Linc are available in the description below.